Hey guys, this is Josh here with Trillium Wild Edibles, and today I wanted to show you guys a short little video on how you can prepare your wild lettuce greens. And this is going to be a short, simple video that'll help you to use wild lettuce greens in any recipe that you want to incorporate them into. Now, despite its name being wild lettuce, we do actually have to cook it. In this stage, we could use some of these raw, and I'll show you why. Now, as you can see there, I just plucked one of these small little leaves, and you can see some of this milky sap starting to exude. There isn't very much milky sap, and this will have a very bitter flavor whenever you go to eat these greens raw, and this is the reason that we want to cook them, just because it will help to make their flavor a lot more palatable. Okay, now a majority of this rosette is going to be usable, so all we simply have to do is find the leaves that we want, and we can use pretty much all of these leaves. Now, as you notice, as we get down further, some of the leaves start showing a little bit more creases. So these are going to be the older leaves because this is a rosette. Anytime that you're dealing with the rosette, the youngest and the best tasting leaves, or the leaves that are in the most prime, are going to be towards the center. Now, another nice thing about doing it this way is that we're still preserving a lot of the leaves left, and we're not taking over 50% of the leaves that are on the plant. And what that means is this plant is still going to be able to continue to grow, so that way we can actually come back and we can continue to harvest more leaves from this plant later on in the year. Here you guys can see a very, very small wood sorrel leaf that's actually growing here within this wild lettuce. That is really cool to see. I absolutely love wood sorrel. It is so delicious. I'm also trying to grab the brightest and the greenest leaves and avoiding some of the darker, greener leaves like you can see that are left here on these rosettes. And as you can see from what I've got here in this bowl, I've actually just gathered from 3 rosettes. I've got a fair amount of greens here, and these don't shrink too terribly much when they get cooked. They do shrink like all greens, but they don't shrink near as much as things like chickweed or nettles, for example. And then on each rosette, after we pluck them, one thing that we're going to notice is this milky sap starting to exude. And it's like I said earlier, this is going to be responsible for a lot of the bitter flavors that exist within the wild lettuce, and that's one of the reasons that I like to cook it. However, in this stage, you could technically eat it raw in very, very small amounts. So keep that in mind if you're in like a survival situation and you see this plant and you absolutely need something to eat. Alright, and then this one looks really good. Just simply going to, again, grab the center, pull up, investigate through for any more leaves that look like they might be pretty tasty, and put them in our bowl as well. That little guy, since it got plucked, I'm going to put it in. Not going to hurt anything. Alright, now as you guys can see here, we've got a really nice amount of lettuce greens for me to show you guys how to use these. So we're going to go inside, and we're going to boil these guys up. Okay, once you've gotten your lettuce greens inside, just go ahead and pick through them and make sure that the only thing that's left is stuff that you are okay with consuming. Okay, now that we've reached a rolling boil with our water, go ahead and just simply drop your wild lettuce greens inside of this water, and then you want to let these boil for 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the stage that they're in. For example, in the stage that they're in now, I only need to let them boil for about 5 to 7 minutes. Because they're very, very young, and they're very, very tasty, and they're not too bitter right now. However, if this was later in the summer, for example, May to August, depending on where you live, you'd want to let these boil for 10 to 15 minutes. Now just simply take a spoon, kind of make sure they get covered in the water. Alright, now we're just going to let this boil for about 5 to 7 minutes, and then I'll get back to you guys when we're done. Okay, now that it's been about 5 to 7 minutes, you can see just how little these greens have actually shrunk. They don't shrink very much at all, which is really nice because they're very substantial whenever you go to eat them. Now you guys may remember how much lettuce greens we had in that bowl, and you can see how much we have here now. They do shrink just like every other green, but in my opinion, they don't shrink near as much as some others because of their size. You know, like for example, nettle greens, you take a whole cup of nettle greens and you can get it to cook down to this, versus we didn't even have a whole cup of lettuce greens and it reduced down to this. so the lettuce greens don't reduce near as much as plenty of other greens. Alright, now at this point we just simply want to take our butter, drizzle it over top. One thing I like to add on top of it after I've added the butter is garlic. And here we are with our wild lettuce greens. This probably looks disgusting, and that's a-okay because this is a very simple, quick, down and dirty way to cook them. Okay, so now that we've cooked up our wild lettuce greens, let's go ahead and take a taste and see what we think of them. Again, this may look rather gross, but I like them this way because I love butter. It really helps to pick up the flavor. The garlic, in my opinion, helps to pick up the bitterness. That's tremendous. Absolutely delicious. So I thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned just a little bit of something. If you want to learn more about wild edibles or medicinal plants, make sure to subscribe.